guys, welcome back to my channel or my page, whatever you call this, Instagram TV. Hello. So for those of you who don't already know, my name is Georgina, aka Mrs. _ Jacobs with a Z at the end. Today I am going to be speaking to you all about the things that I've discovered about homeschooling. I don't want to say raising my son, but becoming an educator basically at home whilst working full time. So when lockdown was first introduced, which was around the 23rd of March, I remember thinking, whoa, okay, this is going to be a bit much. I've never had my son with me for so long other than, let's say, when I was on maternity leave. So my husband and I, we both work full time, and my son more or less went to nursery full time, 4 days out of the week. So he was there pretty much full time, and he was there from around, I would say, 8:30, 9 o'clock up until about 5 o'clock, 5:30 the latest, and then he'll be home. And of course, because we have a routine, it would be a case of we play a few games, we read a few books, he has a bath, he eats dinner, and then he goes to bed. So when I kind of factored that in and factored in his routine, I realized actually in the grand scheme of it, I wasn't really spending so much time with my child. So I remember thinking, okay, lockdown has been introduced now, and a lot of people were also calling in sick because they were showing symptoms of corona, and so people were having to go into self-isolation. My team that I manage at work was directly affected by this, and I was down 2 members in my team, and it was just such a ridiculously busy time. And I'm always someone that goes on about, you gotta have a good work-life balance. Work-life balance, work-life balance, work-life balance, work-life balance. And being in this situation, I thought, okay, right, I need to try and prioritize what I'm going to do with myself. I've got my son at home, I've got my husband at home, and I've got my job. Now my work is now at home. And the first week, guys, was so difficult because it got to the point where it was extremely busy at work, but then also I couldn't just ignore my son. I know, and I know this sounds really bad, and guys, don't judge me. I'm not a crap parent, I'm not a rubbish mum at all, but it was so difficult in the sense of he was kind of like, mommy, can we go out? Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy. And I'm like, Neil, mummy's got to work. And at the same time, I had like WebEx meetings, Zoom conferences to attend, assessment centers I needed to find or to do or to conduct, whatever. It was just manic, and I was stressed to capacity. And then I was just kind of like, look, this is going to be how things are going to be for quite some time now. So you need to learn how to prioritize effectively, and you need to start thinking, hold on a minute, yes, work is important, and I would never neglect my work or let the standards of my work slip. But most importantly, I can't neglect my child. And I think I personally took a step back because my husband is extremely instrumental in how he educates, how he spends time with my son, how he does reading, he does words with him, he plays games with him, and I do those things, but my patience is a bit different to the kind of patience that my husband has. Anyway, fast forward now, I've managed to kind of work around a routine. My husband and I are kind of on days. He does a day, I do a day with the boy. He does a day, I do a day with our son. That's the boy, I mean. And it started to work. And then we started to do other things. So the nursery was always kind of forcing us to say, you know, he needs to be potty trained, he needs to do this and he needs to do that. And I'm a firm believer in when he is ready to do something, he would automatically do it. I'm not saying that the teachers and the key workers are not right and they don't know what they're doing. That's not what I'm saying at all. So I'm not trying to offend anyone whatsoever. However, as a parent, as a mother, you know when there is anything wrong with your child, you know when your child needs to move on and do something new. You know that by yourself. Nobody needs to tell you. So we had tried, I wouldn't even say tried, we had attempted to potty train my son way before he was ready to do so, and nothing happened. He wouldn't go to the toilet, he wouldn't go potty, and it got to the point that the nurse would be like, oh, you know, he doesn't want to go potty, he doesn't want to do this, he doesn't want to do that. And it was kind of like, you know, when it happens, it happens. And I think the reason why they were kind of getting on us in that sense is because they use a textbook, or they follow a, or I don't want to say formula, but there's almost like a textbook, like step-by-step milestones that they believe that every child should be reaching at a certain stage. And I always just have to remind myself, number one, my child is not a textbook. Number two, we are not going to drop into or fall into any of your type of statistics. And number three, when my child is ready, my child is ready. So fast forward now, lockdown's begun, second week into lockdown, my husband and I decide, you know what, let's start potty training him at home. We're probably never going to get this amount of time at home together ever again, unless mum is on maternity leave. And I just thought, so yes, it was a mutual decision that yes, we're going to start to potty train him. So we had been dreading this because we've heard so many stories about, oh my God, potty training takes so long, it takes forever, oh my God. And then the worst part is the night shift, and then this and this and this. That was not our experience. In fact, it was so easy. It was almost too good to be true, guys, almost too good to be true. It literally took us about a week to actually get him fully potty trained. A week, guys, 1 week, 7 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 7 days. It took us more or less to fully potty train him. And that includes the night shift as well. He just knew what to do. Another thing is that his speech began to develop so much more. So obviously when the kids are in school, there's quite a few kids, you know, in the nursery, and they can't all get the attention of the key worker, of the teachers in the nursery. But again, the nursery had mentioned to us quite a few times, you know, we think he should be saying this amount of words, etc., etc., etc. Again, I get it. They're looking at a textbook. By this age, you need to be saying 200 words. By this age, you should be saying 300 or 400 or 500 words. And again, my child is not a textbook. I knew, and my husband and I, we both knew, yes, our son says certain things and some things he doesn't say, but it will take time. We're not worried about it. Again, when I'm worried, when my husband's worried, then we know there's something wrong with our child. When other people are worried, or if the school is worried about something about his speech, or about, you know, not being potty trained, not that I don't care about it, but I don't panic over that kind of news. Basically, I take their advice, and I'm just kind of like, okay, that's what you're saying, I'm gonna hear what you're saying, but I don't have to accept that as the be all and end all for my child. So guys, my son's development with his speech has been absolutely mind-blowing. His sentences has been phenomenal. I've heard so many times that people say boys develop a little bit slower than girls, and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor. It may be true, it might not be true. I have seen a lot of my friends who do have, who had baby girls first, and yes, I have seen that their speech does seem or come across a bit more advanced, you know, at an earlier age. However, nevertheless, I definitely would say that within this time that my husband and I have been at home with our son, his speech has, oh, it's quite emotional. It's just grown. It's grown to such depths, and the conversations we're able to have now, where, you know, he understands our jokes, he gets involved, and you know, this is a little 2-year-old boy turning 3, and it's absolutely amazing. And I remember when the teachers used to tell us, or it's not like we were having constant meetings, guys, but when the teachers used to mention to us, like, oh, you know, he could be doing this, or he could be doing that, he could be doing this, could be doing that. You know, sometimes you do feel a bit crappy, and you're kind of like, oh gosh, like, what are we doing wrong? What are we not spending enough time with him? Are we not doing this? Are we not doing this? Are we not doing this? And you do actually start to feel a bit like, actually, maybe I'm not the person investing enough time in their development. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I could be doing so much more. Maybe I could be expanding, you know, just different things. Your mind just starts to wonder. Again, there's no textbook, there's no manual on how to be a parent. It's literally the prompting of the Holy Spirit. So I'm a Christian, guys, so the Holy Spirit is very important to me and direct to me and my husband and how we raise our baby boy. So it's really by the prompting of the Holy Spirit. And like I said, I never felt like we were doing a terrible job at all. But then obviously when you start speaking to people and you start speaking to the teachers and they're saying something else which is contrary to what you believe, yes, you do begin to kind of question yourself. Anyway, my son's speech is absolutely developed. He's reading, not like reading the words, but like, you know, he's like able to explain what's going on in the books by looking at the pictures and kind of making up a narrative for himself. And it's heartwarming, and I absolutely love that. Another thing that I would say I've learned during this time being at home with my child is I realized how much I worked. I realized how much I always say, you know, it's good to have a good work-life balance. Don't bring work to home. Don't do this and don't do that. And for the first 2 weeks and the first 3 weeks of lockdown, I didn't actually have a work-life balance. I was struggling because I thought I was trying to be, you know, the best manager, and then trying to be the best wife, and then trying to be the best mum at the same time, and try to do all of these things. And for some reason, it kept on coming across that I was prioritizing my work over everything else. And it felt like I was prioritizing my work over everything else because, as I said, I had people in my team who were directly affected by this whole COVID-19 stuff, who was showing symptoms of coronavirus. And so I was having to take on so much work. I was also trying to prove that, yes, I'm working from home and my work is not slipping and the standards are not slipping, and I'm still going to do this, and I'm still going to be the best in that, and I'm still going to do this, and I'm still going to do that. And it was at the detriment of me being a mum, of me being a carer, of me being an educator now to my son during this period. So I just learned that I need to step back. Yes, work is important, but my family is even more important. Work will come and work will go. If anything happens to me, my workplace will continue. I'm replaceable, basically. They'll find a new Georgina. She probably won't do as good as a job as moi, but they'll find a new me, and I will just be left somewhere on the wayside. So I was just kind of like, you know what? You are a hard worker, Georgina. You are a hard worker, and everything you do, you want to do it well. Everything you do, you want to make sure you've given 100%. But is that at the detriment of your son? Does that mean that your son only gets 70% of you? Or, sorry, that doesn't even make sense. Does that mean your son only gets 20% of you or 30% of you? No, 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 no. And so I started all over again, and I'm taking my lunch breaks, things that I didn't even do whilst I was even working in the office. I am closing my laptop as soon as it's 5 o'clock, switched out. Don't call me. When someone calls me at 4:55, I'm like, really? No, I'm not answering the phone. When it's on the weekend, before, I think people thought I was like literally on speed dial, my phone is diverted. Don't call me. Do not call me. You will get, hi, welcome to the EE voicemail. That's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get. Don't call me. Before I even end this video, I just need to shout out to all the people who are single parents, all the people who are looking after not even just one child, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, 6 kids. I mean, I don't know anyone who's got 6 kids, but people who are doing it by themselves, you are doing a phenomenal job, because it is not easy but it will get easier, and I hope it does get easier for you the same way how it's gotten easier for me. Thank you so much for listening, guys, and I'll look forward to sharing with you on my next video. Bye.